The arrival. The first signs came not from the sophisticated defense systems that humanity had spent billions developing, but from a teenage amateur astronomer in rural Kansas. Sarah Mitchell, 16 and armed with nothing more than her grandfather's refurbished telescope, noticed something odd in the night sky, a patch of stars that seemed to disappear and reappear, as if something massive was passing in front of them. By the time she posted her observation on social media, it was already too late. The VA-Kron vessel materialized in Earth's upper atmosphere with devastating efficiency, its hull absorbing radar waves and thermal signatures like a black hole swallowing light. The ship, nearly 20 kilometers in length, hung like a obsidian dagger over the planet, its surface decorated with strange, pulsing glyphs that seemed to defy the laws of physics. General Thomas Hale stood in the Pentagon Strategic Command Center, his weathered face illuminated by the emergency red lighting that had activated the moment their systems detected the anomaly. Around him, the world's most sophisticated military command center had descended into controlled chaos. "Sir, NORAD confirms total radar failure. Whatever this thing is, it's like it's not even there," Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported, her fingers flying over multiple keyboards. European Space Agency reports similar findings. "It's as if it doesn't want to be seen until it's ready," Hale finished, his steel-gray eyes fixed on the main screen showing satellite imagery of the vessel. 30 years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now, every fiber of his being screamed that this was not a peaceful first contact. He was right. The first wave of VA-Kron assassins deployed from the vessel at exactly 0300 hours UTC. They didn't descend in ships or pods, they simply appeared, materializing in major cities across the globe in bursts of dark energy that left temporary holes in reality itself. New York's Times Square became a war zone in seconds. The VA-Kron moved with impossible grace, their biomechanical armor making them look like a hybrid of ancient samurai and cosmic horror. Their weapons defied understanding, molecular disruption blades that passed through tank armor like it was tissue paper, and energy weapons that reduced their targets to their constituent atoms. The NYPD's Special Response Team didn't stand a chance. Officer Miguel Rodriguez, a decorated veteran of both the police force and the Marine Corps, managed to empty an entire magazine into one of the aliens. The round simply disappeared into a field of shifting darkness around the creature before it turned its attention to him. His last transmission, captured on police bands, became the first detailed description of humanity's executioners. They're not killing like soldiers. This isn't an invasion. They're methodical, like they're completing a task. Like oh God, they're coming this way. There. The transmission ended in static. In London, the response was equally futile. The British Army's 16th Air Assault Brigade, one of the most elite rapid response units in the world, engaged a group of VA-Kron near the Houses of Parliament. The battle lasted exactly 6 minutes and 43 seconds. When it was over, the Thames ran black with strange energies, and Big Ben's clock face was melted into abstract shapes. Tokyo's defense relied on cutting-edge technology, automated defense turrets, electromagnetic pulse generators, and even experimental plasma weapons. The VA-Kron treated these advances like a child's toys, their armor absorbing or redirecting every attack while their own weapons reduced Tokyo's skyline to molecular ash. In the Pentagon, General Hale watched the world burn through a cascade of live feeds and satellite imagery. President Helena Rodriguez's voice crackled through the secure line, her usual commanding tone tinged with something he'd never heard before, fear. "Thomas, tell me we have options." Hale looked at the tactical display, where red dots indicating VA-Kron presence multiplied like a viral infection across the globe. "Madam President, I recommend immediate implementation of Protocol Omega Dark." There was a pause on the line. Protocol Omega Dark was the last resort nuclear option, designed for scenarios where conventional warfare was no longer viable. It would authorize the simultaneous launch of every nuclear weapon in the United States arsenal. "The Chinese and Russians are suggesting the same," Rodriguez replied. But Thomas, the simulations suggest even a full nuclear exchange wouldn't scratch that ship. And the assassins, they're moving too fast, too dispersed. She was right, of course. Hale had already run the numbers. A nuclear response would kill more humans than VA Kron, and might be exactly what these executioners wanted, humanity destroying itself in desperation. In the command center, Lieutenant Chen suddenly straightened in her chair. "Sir. We're picking up something different. A transmission, but not from the VA Kron. I've never seen anything like this signature." Hale moved to her station, studying the cryptic patterns on her screen. The transmission was being broadcast on frequencies that shouldn't exist, using encoding that made quantum encryption look primitive. "Can you decode it?" Chen shook her head. "No, sir, but, look at this pattern. Where have we seen something similar?" Hale's blood ran cold. The pattern, while not identical, reminded him of something he'd seen only once before, in classified files so secret that merely knowing of their existence was a capital offense. The Lazarus Protocol. 20 years ago, during a classified operation in Afghanistan, Hale's unit had encountered something that had changed his understanding of reality. They'd found a cave system that predated human civilization, filled with technology that defied explanation. And in the deepest chamber, they'd found him, the soldier that death itself couldn't claim. The brass had called him an asset, coded him as simply D, but the locals had another name for him, whispered in fear and awe. Death. The encounter lasted less than an hour before the entire cave system was buried in an unexpected earthquake, but Hale never forgot the warrior's words, "When they come from above, seeking to end all, I will return. The signal will precede me." Now, watching the strange transmission pulse across Chen's screen, Hale realized that humanity's darkest hour had arrived. But with it came a glimmer of hope, the return of something just as ancient and deadly as the VA Kron themselves. "Get me a secure line to the president," Hale ordered. "And Chen, start broadcasting that signal on all frequencies. If death is listening, it's time he answered humanity's call." As if in response to his words, the VA Kron ship pulsed with new energy, and a second wave of assassins began their deployment. The real war was about to begin, and humanity's only hope lay in a legend that most believed was nothing more than a myth. But Thomas Hale knew better. He had seen death with his own eyes, and now, as Earth faced its greatest threat, he prayed that the ancient warrior would keep his promise. In the ruins of what had once been Dubai, something stirred. Deep beneath the desert sands, in a chamber that had waited patiently for this very moment, ancient machinery hummed to life. A stasis pod older than human civilization began its awakening sequence, and within it, a figure opened eyes that had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Death was awakening, and the VA Kron would soon learn that they weren't the only beings in the universe designed for killing. Death rises. The ancient chamber beneath Dubai's ruins thrummed with energy as systems dormant for millennia reactivated. In the central stasis pod, consciousness returned to the being known as Death. His awakening was not like human sleep, instead, memories and awareness crashed back like a tidal wave, each moment of his existence crystallizing into perfect clarity. Death remembered everything. The rise of countless civilizations, the fall of empire after empire, and most importantly, his purpose, to serve as the ultimate failsafe against extinction-level threats. He had faced the VA Kron before, on worlds now lost to time and space. They were efficient, ruthless, and utterly dedicated to their mission of species elimination. But so was he. As the stasis pod's crystal housing dissolved, Death rose to his full height. His armor, black as the space between stars, seemed to absorb the chamber's light. Glyphs similar to those on the VA Kron ship adorned his suit, but these pulsed with a different energy, ancient, primal, and deadly. His helmet, resembling a stylized skull, activated its systems, connecting him to humanity's networks. The data flood was immediate and overwhelming. Cities in ruins. Millions dead. The VA Cron operating with their characteristic efficiency. But something was different this time, they seemed more aggressive, more rushed. Death's tactical systems analyzed their pattern and reached a disturbing conclusion: the VA Cron weren't just here to eliminate humanity. They were afraid of something. In the Pentagon's command center, Lieutenant Chen's systems suddenly lit up with new signatures. General. The signal, it's changed. Something's responding. Hale rushed to her station, watching as strange codes cascaded across the screens. The patterns were unlike anything in human cryptography, yet somehow familiar. They matched the glyphs found in that Afghan cave 2 decades ago. Can you locate the source? Hale asked, his heart racing. Chen's fingers flew over her keyboard. Yes, sir. Dubai, or what's left of it. But there's something else. The VA Cron ship is reacting. Their energy signatures just spiked dramatically. They knew, Hale realized. The VA Cron recognized these signals, and they were afraid. Beneath Dubai, Death accessed his weapons cache. Each piece of his arsenal was a masterpiece of engineering from a civilization that had transcended human understanding of physics. His primary weapon, a sword that could cut through reality itself, hummed as he attached it to his back. Quantum grenades, temporal disruption fields, and weapons that could unmake matter at its most fundamental level filled his tactical arrays. But his most powerful weapon had always been his understanding of death itself, not just as an end, but as a fundamental force of the universe. The VA Cron killed with precision and purpose, but death killed with the inevitability of entropy itself. He emerged from the underground chamber into a world of chaos. Dubai's gleaming towers had been reduced to twisted metal and glass, the desert winds already beginning to reclaim the city. VA Cron assassination teams moved through the ruins, methodically eliminating any survivors they found. Death's first encounter with them came seconds after his emergence. 3 VA Cron assassins, their armor gleaming with that familiar dark energy, turned to face him. Their weapons powered up with an ominous hum. What followed wasn't just combat, it was art. Death moved like shadow given form, his sword describing impossible arcs through space. The VA Cron's energy weapons fired, but Death wasn't where they aimed. He existed in the spaces between moments, his movements guided by combat algorithms evolved over millions of years. The first VA Cron fell before it could react, its armor split at quantum levels, its energy core imploding. The second managed to raise a defensive field, but Death's blade passed through it as if it didn't exist. The third tried to retreat, to signal its brethren, but Death's temporal disruption field trapped it in a moment of time, allowing him to systematically disassemble its existence. The entire encounter lasted less than 3 seconds. In orbit, the VA Cron mothership pulsed with new energy. Emergency signals rippled through its hull as ancient protocols activated. The ship's commanders, entities that hadn't known fear since the dawn of their species, faced a truth they had hoped never to confront again: Death had returned. General Hale watched the satellite feeds with a mixture of awe and disbelief. The thermal imaging showed a single figure moving through Dubai, leaving trails of impossible energy readings. Wherever this figure passed, VA Cron signatures simply ceased to exist. "Get me everything we have on that location," Hale ordered. "And somebody find me a way to communicate with him." But Death was already working on that. As he moved through Dubai, eliminating VA Cron teams with mechanical precision, his systems interfaced with Earth's primitive networks. He accessed military channels, quantum encrypted frequencies, and communication systems humans hadn't even discovered yet. His message was simple: I am Death. I have returned. The VA Cron can be defeated. The effect on global morale was electric. The message, broadcast in every language simultaneously, reached every functioning communication device on Earth. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had hope. The VA Cron responded with unprecedented fury. The mothership deployed elite hunting teams, units specifically designed for combating threats like Death. They were faster, stronger, and more lethal than standard VA-Cron assassins. Their armor incorporated countermeasures developed from previous encounters with Death-class entities. They weren't enough. In the heart of Dubai's financial district, Death engaged the first hunting team. Their enhanced weapons barely slowed him down. His sword cut through their improved armor like paper, his temporal fields trapped them in endless moments of their own destruction, and his understanding of death itself turned their own lethal energy against them. But even as he fought, Death's systems analyzed the VA-Cron's patterns, and his concerns grew. Their behavior was wrong. The VA-Cron were methodical, patient, willing to take centuries to complete their missions. This frantic assault, this rush to eliminate humanity, it spoke of desperation. They weren't just here to eliminate another species. They were running from something. In the Pentagon, Lieutenant Chen's analysis reached similar conclusions. "Sir," she reported to Hale, "the VA-Cron ship's energy output, it's not just about attacking Earth. They're maintaining some kind of massive sensor array, constantly scanning deep space. They're looking for something." Hale watched the tactical displays, where Death's signature moved through Dubai like a force of nature. "Whatever they're afraid of," he mused, "I hope it's on our side." Death reached the same conclusion as he eliminated the last of the hunting team. The VA-Cron were afraid, and fear made them dangerous in new ways. They would accelerate their plans, take greater risks, possibly even deploy weapons they normally considered too destructive. He needed to act fast, and he needed help. His systems detected a human military leader who had encountered him before, General Thomas Hale. It was time to make contact, to prepare humanity for what was coming. Because the VA-Cron weren't just here to eliminate humanity. They were here to use Earth as a fortress, a defensive position against something that frightened even them. And when that something arrived, the real war would begin. Death's message reached the Pentagon on frequencies that shouldn't exist, "General Hale. We need to talk. The VA-Cron are not the end. They're just the beginning." In orbit, the VA-Cron mothership sensors continued their frantic sweep of deep space. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, something ancient and terrible noticed Earth's sudden importance to its old enemies. It began to move. The greater threat. The meeting took place in what remained of NORAD's Cheyenne Mountain complex. General Hale stood in the reinforced command center, surrounded by the world's remaining military leaders, as death materialized before them. The ancient warrior's armor seemed to bend light around it, and the skull-like helmet turned slowly as he surveyed the room. "The VA-Cron are not your true enemy," Death's voice resonated through their minds rather than their ears. "They are running from something far worse." Admiral Zhang of the Chinese Navy leaned forward. "Worse than an alien race of assassins bent on exterminating our species?" Death's helmet tilted slightly. "The VA-Cron are methodical, precise. They eliminate species they deem threatening to galactic stability." "But what follows them?" A hologram materialized from his armor, showing a mass of writhing darkness that hurt the eyes to look at. "This is the Void Collective." The image showed something that defied comprehension, a vast, cosmic horror that existed in dimensions beyond human understanding. Where the VA-Cron were surgical in their destruction, the Void Collective was entropy incarnate, consuming reality itself. "They devour everything," Death continued. "Not just matter and energy, but spacetime itself. They've consumed entire galaxies, and now they've followed the VA-Cron here." General Hale's face paled. "Why Earth? Why are they coming here?" Death's answer chilled the room. "Because I'm here. The VA-Cron didn't come to eliminate humanity, they came to fortify Earth as a defensive position. They've encountered me before, fought alongside me against the Void Collective on worlds now lost to memory. They know I'm one of the few forces in the universe capable of fighting the Void." Lieutenant Chen, who had been granted special clearance for the meeting, studied the holographic data streaming from Death's armor. "These energy signatures, they're similar to both your technology and the VA crons, but inverted somehow. Correct, Death acknowledged. The Void Collective is what happens when life evolves wrong, when consciousness develops in the spaces between dimensions. They don't want to rule or destroy, they want to convert all of reality to match their own twisted existence. The military leaders exchanged glances. President Rodriguez, attending via secure hologram, spoke up. Are you suggesting we ally with the VA Cron? The same beings who've killed millions of our people? We don't have a choice, Death replied. The Void Collective will arrive within days. The VA Cron's ship isn't just a vessel, it's a weapon platform designed to fight cosmic horrors. But they need my help, and they need humanity's resources. Hale understood the implications. That's why they attacked so aggressively. They weren't trying to eliminate us, they were trying to secure Earth quickly before the Void Collective arrived. Death nodded. The VA Cron are efficient, but not cruel. They would have preferred a slower, more thorough elimination of humanity. This rushed assault was born of desperation. The next few hours were spent in intense discussion. Death shared tactical data about both the VA Cron and the Void Collective, while Earth's military leaders presented their remaining capabilities. Lieutenant Chen worked with Death's systems to integrate human technology with his ancient weapons. But it was the arrival of the VA Cron High Command that changed everything. They appeared in the command center without warning, three tall, elegant figures whose armor seemed to flow like liquid shadow. Their presence sent every human weapon system into alert, but Death stepped between them and the humans. Supreme Executor, Death addressed the central figure. It's been 12,000 years. The VA Cron leader's response came in the same mind-to-mind communication Death used. Avatar of the End. We had hoped never to require your services again. What followed was unprecedented in human history, a strategic summit between humanity's leaders, an ancient cosmic warrior, and the very aliens who had been trying to exterminate them hours before. The VA Cron, freed from the immediate need to eliminate humanity, revealed themselves to be beings of cold logic and profound technological advancement. The Void Collective's primary thrust will come from these vectors, the Supreme Executor explained, manipulating a holographic map of the solar system. Their void forms cannot be stopped by conventional weapons. They will attempt to establish dimensional rifts at these key points. Death's armor interfaced with the hologram, adding layers of tactical data. We'll need to modify Earth's satellite network to create a detection grid. The Void Collective can't be tracked with normal sensors, but they distort reality in predictable ways. Lieutenant Chen, working with both VA Cron technicians and Death systems, began to understand the true scale of what they faced. The Void Collective wasn't just an army or even a force of nature, it was a cancer in reality itself, spreading through dimensions humans couldn't even perceive. But there was hope. Death's weapons were designed to fight exactly this kind of threat, and the VA Cron ship carried enough firepower to shatter planets. If they could coordinate effectively, Earth might stand a chance. The plan they developed was audacious. The VA Cron ship would serve as the primary defensive platform, its weapon systems augmented by Death's technology. Earth's military forces would be reorganized into rapid response teams, equipped with modified VA Cron weapons designed to work with human biology. The Void Collective will target population centers first, Death explained. They feed on consciousness, on the potential of sentient minds. We'll need to evacuate major cities, move people into hardened shelters equipped with dimensional stabilizers. The VA Cron Supreme Executor added, our assassination teams will be repurposed for void entity elimination. They are already adapted for quantum-level combat. General Hale watched as former enemies became desperate allies, all under the guidance of a being older than human civilization. The irony wasn't lost on him, it had taken a threat to all of reality to bring about unprecedented cooperation between species. But as the preparations continued, Death pulled Hale aside for a private conversation. There's something you need to know, General. Something I haven't told the others. In a secure chamber deep within the mountain, Death revealed the true nature of his existence, and with it, the real reason the Void Collective was coming to Earth. The truth would change everything, if they lived long enough to deal with its implications. Above them, in the cold vacuum of space, reality began to twist as the first tendrils of the Void Collective reached for Earth. The final battle for existence itself was about to begin, and not everyone would survive what was coming. Death's helmet turned toward the ceiling, tracking distortions only he could see. They're earlier than expected. We have hours, not days. The Vacron ship's sensors confirmed his assessment. Across Earth, the strange alliance of humans, Vacron assassins, and a primordial warrior prepared for war. But only Death knew the full truth of what they faced, and the sacrifice that would be required to save not just Earth, but reality itself. The helm of destiny had been set. There was no turning back now. Voids advance. They came like a cancer in reality itself. The first sign was the stars going dark over the Pacific Ocean, not hidden but erased, replaced by a wrongness that hurt to look at. The Vacron ship sensors screened warnings in frequencies that shouldn't exist, and Death's armor pulsed with ancient energy. Multiple dimensional breaches detected, Lieutenant Chen reported from the modified command center. The holographic displays showed reality tearing open in dozens of locations around the globe. The Void Collective they're not invading. They're infecting. Death stood at the center of the command hub, his armor interfacing with both human and Vacron systems. The first wave will be Void Scouts, fragments of the collective sent to prepare our dimension for their full manifestation. They must be stopped before they can establish dimensional anchors. The Vacron Supreme Executor's armor shifted like liquid shadow. Our assassination teams are in position. The human military units have been equipped with modified quantum disruptors. But against the Void. Against the Void, everything is a holding action, Death finished. Until we can implement the final protocol. General Hale, now understanding what that protocol meant thanks to Death's private revelation, felt the weight of the future press down on him. The truth about Death, about the nature of reality itself, was almost too much to bear. But there was no time for philosophical crises, the Void entities were manifesting. They emerged from the dimensional tiers like oil seeping through reality's fabric. Their forms defied description, existing in geometries that shouldn't be possible in three-dimensional space. Where they touched the ground, matter didn't dissolve or disintegrate, it simply ceased to have ever existed. The battle began in earnest. Vacron assassination teams, their skills turned from hunting humans to fighting cosmic horrors, engaged the Void entities with terrible precision. Their weapons, designed to kill at the quantum level, proved surprisingly effective. But for every Void scout they destroyed, 3 more emerged from the growing rifts. Death moved like a force of nature, his sword cutting through both physical space and the dimensional barriers the Void Collective tried to establish. Where he fought, reality seemed to stabilize, the natural laws of physics reasserting themselves in his wake. In orbit, the Vacron mothership unleashed its full arsenal. Weapons that could shatter planets fired into the dimensional rifts, their energy carefully calibrated thanks to Death's modifications. Some rifts collapsed, but others merely shifted, moving to new locations like wounds in spacetime. Lieutenant Chen coordinated the global defense from the command center, her mind enhanced by Vacron technology to process the impossible amounts of data flowing through their systems. She watched as human military units, fighting alongside their former enemies, engaged Void entities across the globe. The modified quantum disruptors worked, but at a terrible cost. Each shot aged the user by hours, the price of wielding weapons that violated causality itself. Yet the soldiers kept fighting, understanding that the alternative was the end of everything. Multiple Void entities converging on New Delhi, Chen reported. They're building something. Death's helmet turned toward the holographic display. A convergence point. They're trying to create a stable gateway for the main collective. His voice carried an edge of something none of them had heard before: urgency. The VA Cron Supreme Executor immediately dispatched 3 elite teams to India, but Death's next words froze everyone in the command center. It's too late. This was their strategy all along. The scouts were a distraction. They're not trying to infect Earth. They're trying to trigger my failsafe protocol. They want me to activate it. General Hale understood the implications immediately. What Death had told him in private suddenly made terrible sense. The Void Collective, they knew about the protocol. About what you really are. They've always known, Death confirmed. Just as the VA Cron do. It's why both sides want me involved. The question was never about saving Earth, it was about controlling the reset. The Supreme Executor's armor rippled with agitation. You cannot activate the protocol. The cost. The cost has always been necessary, Death interrupted. But not yet. We have to hold them back long enough to ensure the reset happens correctly. If the Void Collective controls the moment of activation, everything ends. Not just Earth, not just this galaxy, but all of reality. Lieutenant Chen looked between them, her enhanced mind putting the pieces together. The protocol, it's not just a weapon, is it? It's. A massive tremor shook the command center as a void entity breached the mountain's defenses. The thing that emerged through the wall existed in too many dimensions at once, its form causing seizures in those who looked directly at it. Death moved with liquid grace, his sword describing impossible arcs through reality. The void entity screamed in frequencies that shattered equipment and caused blood vessels to burst in the humans nearby. But Death pressed forward, his armor absorbing the dimensional distortions. Get everyone to the backup facility, he ordered as he fought. The mountain is compromised. Chen, implement Protocol Omega-7. General, you know what has to be done. Hale nodded grimly, helping the injured evacuate while VA Cron teams covered their retreat. The truth Death had shared with him burned in his mind, the nature of reality itself, the cycle of cosmic death and rebirth, and the role Death played in it all. As they fled through emergency tunnels, the VA Cron Supreme Executor issued orders in that strange mind-to-mind communication. More assassination teams arrived, their liquid shadow armor flowing as they engaged the void entities breaking through reality's walls. But Death knew it wouldn't be enough. The Void Collective strategy was becoming clear, they weren't trying to consume Earth. They were trying to force his hand, to make him activate the protocol under suboptimal conditions. Because Death wasn't just a warrior. He was the universe's failsafe, created by beings long extinct to ensure that when reality needed to be reset, it would happen correctly. The Void Collective wanted that power for themselves, to remake everything in their own twisted image. The evacuation continued as void entities breached multiple points around the globe. The VA Cron ship's weapons fired continuously, filling Earth's orbit with apocalyptic energies. Human soldiers fought alongside alien assassins, wielding weapons that slowly killed them to save reality itself. And in the chaos, Death fought his way toward the one place that could end it all, or doom everything if he failed. The final phase was about to begin, and the true nature of existence itself hung in the balance. The Void Collective had made their move. Now it was time for Death to make his. Above the planet, space itself began to scream as the main body of the Void Collective approached. The real battle for everything was about to begin. The Reset Protocol. The sky above Earth had become a wound in reality. The Void Collective's main body arrived not as a ship or fleet, but as a tear in the fabric of existence itself, a massive, writhing darkness that consumed light, matter, and dimensionality with equal hunger. The VA Cron mothership's weapons fire disappeared into it without effect, and even Death's enhanced sensors struggled to track its true form. In the backup command center, buried deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Lieutenant Chen monitored the final pieces of their desperate plan. The truth about Death's nature, about what he really was, had changed everything. The VA Cron weren't just allies of convenience, they were custodians of an ancient cycle, guardians of a process older than time itself. The collective is consuming the outer atmosphere, Chen reported, her consciousness still linked to the enhanced sensor networks. Dimensional stability is failing across all continents. We have minutes, not hours. Death stood at the center of the facility, his armor pulsing with energies that made reality itself shudder. General Hale, begin the evacuation protocol. Get everyone to the dimensional shelters. Supreme Executor, deploy your final teams. The VA-Cron leader's liquid shadow armor rippled with acknowledgement. The containment fields are ready. When you activate the protocol. When I activate it, everything changes, Death finished. Reality itself will reset, but only if we can keep the Void Collective from corrupting the process. That's why they're here, not to stop the reset, but to control it. The truth that Death had shared with them was almost beyond comprehension. The universe wasn't just a physical space, it was a cycle of death and rebirth, each iteration lasting trillions of years before necessity demanded a reset. Death wasn't just a warrior, he was the reset mechanism itself, created by the beings who had shaped reality in its current form. The VA-Cron hadn't come to Earth to eliminate humanity. They had come because they knew death was here, and they knew the cycle was approaching its end. Their mission had always been to protect the reset protocol, to ensure that when reality renewed itself, it would do so correctly. But the Void Collective had other plans. General Hale coordinated the global evacuation, moving Earth's remaining population into shelters designed by Death and built with VA-Cron technology. These spaces existed partially outside normal spacetime, bubbles of reality that would survive the coming reset. The collective is making its final push, Chen announced. The holographic displays showed void entities converging on their location, drawn to the energy building in Death's armor. They're changing formation. This isn't an attack pattern. Death's helmet turned toward the display. No. It's a containment pattern. They're trying to trap us in a dimensional pocket, to isolate us from the reset point. His voice carried the weight of countless cycles of existence. We can't let that happen. If they control the reset point, they'll reshape everything into their own twisted version of reality. The VA-Cron Supreme Executor moved to the facility's central platform. Our ship will provide cover, but the containment field must be perfect. If even one void entity reaches you during the protocol activation. Death nodded. Then reality rebuilds wrong, and everything we know ceases to exist. He turned to Chen. Lieutenant, activate the quantum beacon. General, seal the shelters. It's time. The facility hummed with power as ancient machinery, hidden beneath Earth's ice for millions of years, awakened. Death's armor began to transform, pieces shifting and changing as his true form emerged. The skull-like helmet split open, revealing not a face but a swirling vortex of pure entropy, the end of all things given consciousness. Outside, the battle reached its crescendo. VA-Cron assassination teams fought alongside human soldiers against waves of void entities. The VA-Cron mothership's weapons fired carved lines of sanity through the infected sky, trying to maintain a corridor of stable spacetime around the facility. But the Void Collective was endless, their forms pouring through dimensional tears like a flood of cosmic horror. They understood what was at stake, not just the fate of one world or one galaxy, but the fundamental nature of reality in the next iteration of existence. In the command center, Chen's enhanced mind processed the impossible mathematics of what was about to happen. Dimensional collapse accelerating. The collective they're trying to trigger their own version of the protocol. Death moved to the center of the facility, his form now more energy than matter. They can try. But only I carry the true seed of renewal. His voice resonated through dimensions, carrying the finality of entropy itself. General, give the order. Hale's voice was steady as he transmitted the final command, all forces, initiate Operation Omega Shield. Protection protocols at maximum. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all. The Vacron Supreme Executor raised a hand, and the mothership unleashed its full power, not as weapons, but as a containment field, creating a bubble of pure reality around the facility. Human soldiers and Vacron assassins formed the last line of defense as void entities crashed against their position. And at the heart of it all, Death began the protocol. His form expanded, becoming a singularity of pure ending. The reset wasn't just about destroying the old, it was about preserving the seed of the new, ensuring that when reality rebuilt itself, it would follow the right patterns, maintain the right laws of physics, allow for the right kind of life to evolve. The Void Collective made its final push, their entities sacrificing themselves by the thousands to try to breach the containment field. They didn't want to stop the reset, they wanted to corrupt it, to ensure that the next iteration of reality would be twisted to match their own impossible existence. In the shelters, humanity waited. In the skies, Vacron warriors fought. And at the axis point of everything, Death unleashed the power that had been building since the beginning of this universe. Reality began to unravel, not in chaos, but in carefully controlled waves of entropy. The reset protocol wasn't just destruction, it was the ultimate act of creation, preserving the essential patterns of existence while clearing away the accumulated cosmic debris of trillions of years. Lieutenant Chen, her consciousness expanded by Vacron technology, watched as spacetime itself began to fold. The void entities shrieked in frequencies that shattered dimensions, making their final attempt to reach the reset point. But they had failed to understand one crucial truth: Death wasn't just a force of ending. He was the guardian of new beginnings. The reset wave expanded outward, consuming everything in its path. But within the shelters, within carefully preserved bubbles of old reality, seeds of life and consciousness remained. The Vacron ship, its mission complete, allowed itself to be unmade, its energy adding to the containment field protecting those precious seeds. And as reality itself came undone, preparing to remake itself anew, Death completed his true purpose. The pattern of existence was preserved, the fundamental laws maintained. The universe would rebuild itself according to the right design, allowing life and consciousness to evolve once again. The cycle would continue. In the moments before everything changed, General Hale watched through the shelter's quantum glass as the world dissolved into pure potential. He understood now why the Vacron had come, why Death had waited so long beneath the earth, and why the Void Collective had fought so desperately to control this moment. Reality itself was about to be reborn, and this time, like every time before, it would be born right. The reset completed. The universe ended. And in the infinite possibility that followed, the seeds of the new reality began to grow, guided by patterns older than time itself. The cycle would begin again. And somewhere in the new reality, Death would wait, ready to guard the next iteration of existence when the time came once more for everything to end, and begin anew.